Reserves a point of order. The gentleman from Colorado is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I stand with the American people in wanting to make sure that our returning service members from Iraq and Afghanistan are taken care of. The signature wound in this war is emerged to be post-traumatic stress disorder. Since 2008, over 100,000, almost 100,000 claims for disability based on post-traumatic stress disorder have been awarded at a tremendous cost. But the concern is, again, that these veterans are taken care of. In July of last year, new rules were promulgated as to the eligibility criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder. And what they did was they no longer required the service members to relate a specific combat occurrence or occurrences to their post-traumatic stress disorder. And so it is my belief that these rules are too loosely written, and that what we ought to have is more definition to say that someone who's never served in a combat zone should not be eligible for post-traumatic stress disorder disability benefits, not treatment. Certainly they would be eligible for treatment. But I understand that this amendment will require the Veterans Administration to create a definition and make decisions on something they currently don't do, which is service in a combat zone. And I yield. Yeah.
I thank the gentleman for yielding, and I certainly can appreciate the concerns that the gentleman raises that have caused him to offer the amendment. But I wanted to remind the gentleman that the awful incident that occurred at Fort Hood, Texas, there were a lot of our service members who were present and who experienced that awful, awful situation. Under this amendment, it would prevent the veterans, once those people are discharged, and the service members from being able to take advantage of the benefits of the Department of Veterans Affairs because they were at Fort Hood as opposed to in Afghanistan or Iraq or some other place of hostility. And also I would remind the gentleman that the service members who operate our unmanned vehicles, aerial vehicles such as the Predator, which has great capabilities for causing destruction in war. It's one of our great weapons, but they actually can see it on video in real time, the death and the destruction and the dismemberment that is caused by the utilization of that, although they're in Nevada. And the weapon is being actually having its impact in Afghanistan. And of course, because of that, they would be disqualified. And under this amendment, I think the gentleman's point is well taken in wanting to make sure that only those people who are entitled to veterans benefits, in fact, get them. But I think that there are perhaps some problems in the artful drafting of the amendment that perhaps should be clarified. And because of that, I'm reluctant to support it, and I must oppose that amendment.
I understand. I reclaim my time, and the chairman has raised a similar issue. And I certainly agree with him about the issue of expanding the definition in this amendment to reflect terrorist activity that would be beyond a combat zone. Again, we're not reflecting, certainly treatment would be available. We're not talking about that. We're merely talking about disability compensation. I probably disagree with you as a combat veteran myself on the ground side on your UAV example. But with that, Mr. Chairman, I would ask unanimous consent to withdraw this amendment, realizing that it is out of order because the fact that it really impedes on authorizing versus appropriating. And it is my intent, certainly, and I'd be happy to work with the gentleman from Georgia as well as the gentleman from Texas, in terms of coming up with a definition that makes sure that we take care of those veterans who are most in need. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.